Hello. So today I wanted to talk about Pythagoras and Plato. Okay. So Pythagoras is famous basically for the theorem about the triangle, the 90 degrees triangle. But he was a very deep and important philosopher and mystic also. So he was born in the 6th century before Christ, and the main points of his teaching are these. So the first one is the metempsychosis, or the transmigration of the soul from one body to another, basically reincarnation. And that's why also he was vegetarian, because he thought that animals can have like human souls in them. So that's why he didn't eat any animal, and also his disciples weren't allowed to eat animals. So this is the first point. The second point is the harmony of the spheres. So Pythagoras thought that the universe, and in particular the planets, moved accordingly to mathematical laws, and they emitted like a sound, but we can't hear this sound, the sound of the spheres or the planets, because we hear it since we were born. So we are kind of accustomed to this sound. That's why we can't hear it. So following from this logic, everything in the universe is governed and ruled by mathematical laws. Everything. And he put numbers like the principle, or arche in ancient Greek, like principle of everything. Like numbers govern everything. And another interesting thing about Pythagoras is divination and prophecy. So he used a method called isopsephy, and basically is like adding the value of each letter in a word to have the total number of the word that you are interested about. So he also was into divination. How all these teachings influenced Plato? Well, Plato also believed in metempsychosis, or reincarnation. This is the first thing. The second thing, I think, is this concept of the ideal world that governs our world, basically. Okay. According to Pythagoras, this was the role of the numbers. Like numbers were like ideal entities that ruled and governed our world. Plato also thought that like mathematical entities and geometrical entities were part of another world. He called it hyperuranium. Basically is like another dimension in which the mathematical and geometrical entities live, but Plato went farther, because he thought that a whole world of ideas was present in this hyperuranium. And for example, the idea of good, the idea of beauty, and our world is just a copy or is inspired from this idea, and it tends to these ideas, our world. For example, a king hopefully will tend to the idea of righteousness, of justice, of wisdom, okay? So this is the other teaching that Plato took from Pythagoras and took it farther also, right? The last point is this. So Pythagoras thought that the first two numbers, 1 and 2, represented specific esoteric things. So number 1 was the monad, or like the unity, the primordial unity from which everything was born. And so monad is called monad. The dyad is the multiplicity, like everything that has been created from the primordial unity. And Plato took the same concepts and developed the same concepts. And he called them also in the same way. Like monad basically was the primordial oneness, okay? Or we can call it God in modern terms, but they didn't call it God. They call it monad. It means like one thing, basically. And the dyad is 2 in Pythagoras' teaching, but metaphorically it represents multiplicity, okay? Like everything, the 10,000 things would say a Zen monk, okay? Or the word, the multiplicity of the word, everything that exists. So monad is primordial unity, dyad is multiplicity. Number 2, multiplicity. And these two concepts of monad and dyad, Plato took them exactly as they were in Pythagoras' teaching and incorporated them into his teaching. Okay, so I think I said the main things about these great philosophers that I love, Plato and Pythagoras, and I think that there is a lot more to say about them, but I just wanted to give you a short introduction. Oh, there is one last thing that I'm remembering right now. So Plato, in his academy, so Plato had a school, an esoteric school, and in this school, at the entrance was written, "Don't enter if you don't know geometry." So that's how much Plato cared about mathematics, geometry, and numbers. So we can say that Plato, in a way, is a disciple of Pythagoras. Not directly, of course, because his teacher was Socrates, but we can say that in a spiritual way, Plato was a disciple of Pythagoras, or at least he went to the same masters that Pythagoras went to, because so it is thought that Pythagoras went to the east and to the Middle East to learn all the stuff that he knew, basically to Egypt or also to the Magi of the Middle East. So yeah, I hope it was interesting, and I hope this gave you some interesting hints to dig into and to learn as much as possible about these two great masters of the past. So yeah, have a nice reading, listening, whatever. Bye bye.